all the wrong stuff. Tariffs. It's all over the news. No Ukraine news, no Russian news, no Israel news. It's all tariff news. And in the end, it's you who decides what happens with the tariffs. If the prices go up, if the tariffs stay on for a long time, and I think he's probably going to do some wheeling and dealing if people are willing to commit to factories here or do something or other, some kind of deal will be cut. Yeah, I need your lithium or blah, 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 blah. I'll reduce the tariffs on you. He's deals is what the guy likes, so I wouldn't be surprised if tariffs come and go on certain people and not on others or whatever. But anyway, if they all stay in place, the market will make a decision. The market being the consumer, you, me, factories, corporations who need to buy raw materials, need to buy equipment, build plants, they'll all make a decision. Right now everything is so uncertain, I'm sure the boardrooms and corporations are not sure what to do. I would suspect their immediate response is that they're not going to be pushing real strong forward to be building new plants. I don't know that the future looks bright for sales on anything, especially if the tariffs raise the basic commodity issues like housing. It's not going to help the housing market for sure. But anyway, the point being is you and I make a decision, and there will be a shift. There'll be a shift to lower cost products, if it's off-brand or not consuming it at all. You know, if apples get to be $3 an apple, you just don't buy them. You know, you could get some other fruit, or you stop eating fruit. You have choices to make. I'm not sure that the current generations have had to make those choices. They haven't particularly worried about it. I don't know if there's a lot of room here for people to continue with their current spending habits with interest rates high and credit card debt at an all-time high. I don't know if people can continue without making buying decisions. It is now where you're going to have to make buying decisions. Do I need this or do I need that? Can I skip my yogurt? You know, it depends where it's made. You know, if it's a American-made product, the higher-priced foreign-made products won't look so attractive to you. You do the American brand. It's the end that us decides. If we don't buy the foreign brand because the American brand is cheaper, or we just give up buying whatever that is altogether. Like avocados from Mexico. I think that's probably the only place you get avocados, out of Mexico. If the price gets too high, some people stop buying avocados. Okay, people who make those grow those avocados in Mexico. What are they going to do? If they're not selling as much as they were into the United States because of the tariffs, they might have to think of trying to take a cut in what their wholesale price is to at least move some product. They can have storehouses of avocados in Mexico they don't sell here. It's easy to say, well, we'll look around for other markets. The Chinese say that, well, we'll look around for other markets to sell our products into. And everybody's been trying to do that in the last 10 years. Everybody saw this coming. If you're dependent upon one importer or you're exporting everything to one country, they can put a tariff on and ruin your industry. So they've been looking around for other markets to buy from as well as to sell to. Okay, so but in the end, it's the consumer who makes the decision. The most basic things, everybody buys food of one kind or another. But there are lots of expensive, I don't care, wine, the price of wine. The price of French wine doesn't bother me at all. I don't really care what it gets to. Some people may have a conniption fit. They just can't give up their French wine. If they can't, then they have to pay the price. They might have to give up something else. If they're wealthy, then it doesn't matter. Tariffs aren't going to particularly hurt the wealthiest people. They're still going to buy their German, assembled in Germany, Mercedes or whatever. They're going to do that. Although there is even some elasticity, if you will, and the luxury markets. I remember the government put a excise tax on yachts at one time, figuring, well, rich people pay it anyway, they don't care. So it's another 40 grand. Well, guess what? A lot of people, there was a diminish, enough a diminish, in yacht sales to put some yacht companies in the United States out of business. So even the very rich make decisions on things. They don't. They're at prices of things. I grew up making choices, and a lot of people had to grow up making choices. For example, first thing I paid off was my student loan debt. Before anything else, I didn't have a credit card in those days. It's a good thing. So I had to make it all work somehow. And that's what people are going to have to do now. They're going to have to make buying decisions. And it's usually, I want to call it, what do you call it, excess money, or it's over and above all your bills, what money is left. What do you spend it on? Some people don't have any leftover money after bills, and they're going to have to cut back on their food purchases or their, at least gasoline is still the same price. I haven't seen any hike on gasoline. Maybe it'll get cheaper if America starts pumping oil again. But the bottom line is we're all going to have to make buying choices now. And that'll have an impact on that seller, whoever it is, the grocery store, or the supplier of the avocados, or the corn on the cob, or the company that packages beverages. I know there was Coca-Cola coming out of Mexico because it had pure cane sugar in it. They might disappear from the shelves, or they'll jack up the price. If you want pure cane sugar Coca-Cola, then you're going to have to pay a premium for it. Or just forget it and buy the regular old American bottled Coke at a little lower price. Buying decisions. That will have an impact on the seller, be it a retailer, a wholesaler, or whoever is supplying those goods, making, manufacturing. I understand that Wayfair, a company, got a lot of their products in Vietnam. They have a lot of do-it-yourself assembled furniture or other things like that. And they had shipped it over away from China to Vietnam. Cheaper labor. And they had working relationships with factories there. And now Vietnam's been hit with a big tariff. What is Wayfair going to do? I doubt they can cut their price a whole lot to offset that tariff, but the people in Vietnam, they maybe have to cut the price. They may have to lay off some people. That's probably will happen there, is they'll lay off people because the demand just won't be there anymore. They'll lay people off, hopefully, and this has been going on in the auto industry for years. There are times when auto industries had to lay off the whole factory because they just weren't selling enough models of that particular car to keep the factory running 24/7. So they furloughed people. Furloughing. It's been happening in the auto industry for a long time. It'll happen in other industries. You're not particularly laid off, you're just furloughed. When the demand comes back, you got a job again. What do they do in the meantime? They have to pick up some other kind of job. You make the decision. Corporations, they'll have to make a decision like all the air conditioner company took all their manufacturing to Mexico because they could save on labor costs, and they could save on EPA-related costs of manufacturing. Mexico doesn't have the same EPA regulations. They're going to have to consider if I guess probably the current view of corporations is this will be a short-term, relatively short-term thing, and we're not going to necessarily start plans to bring air conditioner manufacturing back in the United States. Maybe they will. I don't know. If they can ramp something up here. I understood that Ford was closing down one of their Canada plants and going to be making that particular car at an underused plant they have here in the United States. That way they can avoid tariff on that car. So there'll be some shuffling around of assets, corporate assets, and what they have and how quickly they can convert from foreign made to American made on American soil, that sort of thing. The tariffs will have an impact for sure in buying habits, and it may be a lasting impact on buying habits. Some products may just simply go out and not be available anymore. That was one of the big aspects about America. I read years ago some Russian came over from, this was like 1970 Russian or something. He came over and happened to go to the grocery store, and he was blown away by all the choices they had. They only got one choice in Russia. Only one manufacturer for sea salt, not 40 like you do now. Some people are going to go out of business, that's for sure. If they've been running lean to begin with, this is going to be too much for them to handle. Restaurants, that's discretionary spending. Some people will probably do it for a long time. No, I need to go out. It's a small, like a hot dog and ice cream. It's a small decadent thing, and I'm going to pay for it, even though it's really expensive. But I give myself that treat ever so often. And you can do that. As long as you don't go into credit card debt for it. And with credit card debt so high, I don't think there's a lot of room there for pushing discretionary spending over onto a credit card. I advise you not to do that. Anyway, the bottom line is that we'll have to see how the market responds from the corporate level to the individual level. The state has the same issue. Maybe they've been buying cheap something or other from, there was a wave a ways back where certain counties were saying, they put a law on, we only buy American cars for our police force. We don't use BMWs from Germany for our police cars. We're going to buy American cars. So maybe there'll be more of that. There'll be more Buy American products put in the legislation. And that won't be a bad thing. I've talked about it before, the whole free trade thing. From certain aspects, it is a good thing. It does raise the overall economic status of the population of the world. It does help raise that population up. However, in the case of the United States, it gutted the blue-collar worker. Those people who graduated from high school did not intend to go to college and did not care to take up a trade like being an electrician or a plumber, an air conditioner repairman or something like that. Their opportunities are limited to retail, being a clerk or at a 7-Eleven or something like that. And they didn't have a local factory. There were factories that made light bulbs in the United States at one time. Those all went away. General Electric closed their light bulb factories and made them overseas. Factories are the future in the United States, and there will be factories, there will be new factories making more consumer goods, but they will not employ as many people. They'll be more automated for sure, but there will still be blue-collar jobs there, or where blue-collar people can be trained to service or maintain the robots or to whatever. Anyway, there's going to be some shifting and moving around. It may have some long-term impact, and I think that wouldn't be a bad thing. It was really bad what we did giving away all blue-collar jobs to these foreign countries. Yes, it kept the cost of consumer goods down. Levi's jeans probably don't cost a whole lot more now than they did 20 years ago because they're made in Bangladesh or some such place. You know, it wouldn't be a bad thing if that manufacturing came back here. It might be slightly more expensive, but they wouldn't have tariff on them, and that gives the advantage to the manufacturer here. He can now pay a better wage for that manufacturing than by importing it and suffering the tax. That's enough on this. The bottom line is you and me and the market and corporations and counties and governments are going to be having an impact on the impact of the tariffs. Buying decisions will be made. Buying preferences will shift from one thing to another. You might have been buying this brand, now you'll buy that brand. You might have whatever. My advice is you save your money. You never know downstream when you might need it. So I would suggest you save the money or cut out your debt. Get rid of debt. Pay no interest. It's a waste. Just think you're paying 25, 30%. That's like loan shark rate. Don't pay interest on anything. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. I know you got to have a car. Yeah, okay. Well, but you got to pay that student loan off. I gotta say, I don't think there's a lot of wiggle room for some people. They got the student loan debt. People got high mortgages. Now everybody's income goes up every year by even the inflation rate. So it is going to have an impact, and buying decisions will have to be made. And I've already seen that fast food companies are closing down a lot of stores. The price of fast food has gotten so expensive, partly because the mandatory wage in various states have increased the price to $15 an hour or whatever it is. And McDonald's had to raise the price of their Big Macs and their fries and everything else. And it's gotten very expensive to go there. Some people just saying, I'm just not doing it anymore. Or I might treat myself once a month. They've cut down from going every week to once a month. And that will have an impact on McDonald's. Either they'll come up with a cheaper product, they'll have to cut people, they'll have to do more automation, they'll have to do something to respond to stay competitive, or they'll have to shut stores. That's enough for it. This is Uncle Ron and Tariffs. And just remember, you really got the control. You don't have to buy that stuff. Let me tell you, there's for everything you can think of, there's already 40 of them sitting around someplace in a rehab store or a thrift store or on eBay or I can't think of a single thing that you couldn't buy used anywhere. I know, you don't buy used stuff. Okay, well, plenty of it. Food, that's a different story. You're going to have to make choices. You might have to cut out that French bread and just go to white bread. Oh, the horror, I know. Uncle Ron stuff today is the 4th of April 2025 already. And until next time, where is it?